Welcome everybody to episode 10. Unfortunately, there was a conflict with Johnny. So today we're doing a curveball. We're going to do story time with Vinny over his illustrious 35 years. And there's also some additional stories that he might want to share from his teenage years.
39 years.
39 years. 39
39
years.
years. Yeah, we hope, we hope Johnny's cool. Everything's good. We haven't heard back from him. So that's unlike Johnny. And this is our first blooper, I guess. Yeah, so Sean and I said, a lot of the guys, women have been writing in saying they like the story time. So we're going to do some stories. Let me just fix this for a second. All right. So, what do you want to talk about?
So I guess the one video we talked off air that there was a documentary on the overall supplement industry that dropped about 3 years on Amazon, and you were interviewed for your knowledge and wisdom over the years of supplements. Let's maybe start with that.
Yeah, it was really cool. This was early
18, maybe 19.
Yeah, so it was like a really weird time for me. I felt like everything that was going wrong, and I had to close my business. My niece just passed away from cancer, and I just felt like I was getting beat up. And at the time, I said to my wife, I said, "You think I could just like get away for a couple of days, go to California, and just go to Gold's, work out? I just got to get away." She's like, "No problem. Go, get out of here." So, and it also, we had gone on vacation the beginning of January, right after I closed my gym, right after my niece passed away. And another podcast we talked about with Rich Gaspari, that was the same niece that had the heart transplant.
Okay.
So she had passed away in November. Then I closed my gym in December. It was my livelihood, had nothing, no income coming in. And go on vacation that night, we come to find out, we had friends come in to renovate our bathroom, and they stepped on the sprinkler system, and we lost our entire house. So that was just another added catastrophe to, my life at the time. So yeah, I went to California, and I ran into Alex Ardente. Make a long story short, he's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Nothing. I'm just here to train for a couple of days." He's like, "Want to be in my documentary?" I'm like, "Really? All right." So I just thought, I'm going to get like maybe a 20-second plug in the movie. And it turned out to be, I was pretty much, I think, a lot of the movie I was in it.
You're probably
in
15, 20 minutes easily. I watched it.
Yeah, it was closer to about 22 minutes. I timed it. I went from,
Okay.
of course. Yeah, it was really cool. And, it was like he sent me this address, and it was in the garment industry in Los Angeles. And it was a really shady area. I'd never been to it before. And here I am, I park the car, I do it, and we're sitting in this warehouse where it was just empty, sitting in a chair and doing this interview. It was pretty cool because I had so much experience with from EAS to Universal Animal. I was with those companies. I was with Universal Nutrition for 18 years, and I got a lot of stories.
Which is a rarity. Nobody does that nowadays.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm a dying breed in a sense. My era with Universal / Animal was a huge part of my career that I'm blessed to have experienced.
Yeah.
Got to travel over the world with them, literally.
So we go back. You go to the sketchy, shady area to do interviews or something for Supps.
Yeah. And it turned out to not be as sketchy as I thought it was. It just, it was never there before. But it was cool. I did this interview, and I was thinking, yeah, I'm going to be in this for 20 seconds. And I actually didn't watch it until the pandemic. I saved it And one night, the whole family was together, and I'm like, let's watch my supplement, my documentary I'm in. And they're like, okay. And then they're like, when are you getting off the screen? Yeah, so that was cool. That was a really cool experience to be out there, the right place at the right time. Because I've had many situations that I learned from years ago. And if anybody's listening to this that's getting into the industry, when something really good happens for you, keep your mouth shut and don't tell anybody until it's over and done with. And then you can tell people, because I'm not going to mention his name. It was a good friend of mine, but at the time we were up and coming bodybuilders, and I was down in Florida guest posing. I think this had to be 1995. And I got a call, I think 2 days prior, that I got the commercial, a nationwide commercial, if that's how you say it the correct way, to do the Twin Labs commercial. And I was so excited. I tell this guy who's an athlete with Twin Lab. Now, Twin Lab doesn't exist. I don't think it exists anymore on our circuit. They're not in the picture. But back in the day, Twin Labs, if everybody remembers Twin Labs, they were the king in a sense of supplements, right? So this athlete smiled at me, congratulated me, shook my hand, gave me a hug. And Monday I found out he had the commercial, because he called them and said, I'm the actual athlete. Vinny should not be in the commercial. And they were like, you know what? You're right. And I got canned. So, so I've had a lot of experiences like that over the years that, you learn. I was with a few companies. I think my very first, I can't remember. There was this husband and wife in 1993 that owned, where they were pushing this clothing line. And I thought this lady was just wacky, because she was always excited. And I'm not. Like, when I'm around really overexcited people, I want to get away from them. It's like, I can't stand you. It drives me nuts. And so I was like thinking, this lady's nuts. She's like, I got you on WPLJ. We're gonna do a whole segment. I'm like, yeah, all right. And I've heard a lot of things before, and then we're at this gym in Staten Island, and they're like, listen, hold on. The commercial comes on, and they announced me, like, Vinny G is gonna be in the house doing his photo shoot. We're gonna come down to the gym. And they came down and they interviewed me, and I was on WPLJ. It was pretty cool.
Oh,
I was sweating. I'm like, why? Everybody knows. So, yeah, but,
Vinny, were you ever on American Muscle, that ESPN show?
Yeah, so.
Okay. Now we're dating ourselves, because we got a lot of young listeners. American Muscle was a show in like the 90s on ESPN, where it was like a 30-minute workout session. It was Sean Ray and Boyer Coe were kind of the stars, but then they'd bring in somebody, either yourself or somebody else. But go ahead, please.
No, so, yeah, I mean, they had, I can't remember I think it was called Body Shapers, is what you're talking about. They had Rick Valente. Yeah, they had Rick Valente on, because I think Sean Ray, all these top names, Boyer Coe.
Yep.
Yeah. So, and Boyer at the time was a little older. I think he was in his 50s at the time. So Lou Zwick was the guy who was the producer of American Muscle that aired on ESPN through a company called American Sports Network.
Mm-hmm.
So I had just done the contest called the Suburban Bodybuilding Championships. Today it's known as the John Kemper Classic. They changed the name out of respect for when John passed away. So he contacted me. We started a relationship. I was traveling all around with him. And I got on the show a couple of times. They featured me, and we were at, I believe, the Junior USA, and they had this guy filming the athletes and interviewing him, like, hey, Sean, how are you today? your conditioning looks rather swell. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, this guy sucks.
Is Mike Brady? Or who? Mike Brady from the 60s?
So he was from Video Action, I believe, back in the day. And they hired him. And he was a nice man. He was a really good guy. But Drew no like energy. So I just said out loud, I go, I could do better than that. And they're like, try it. So I tried it. I'm like, and I just thought I would incorporate. And this later on came into play when I did it for Animal, which we can get to in a second. When I was emceeing the Animal Cage at the Arnold, and I was like, I'm gonna act like a Guido. I'm gonna act like I'm from Jersey. So I'm like, yo, Sean, what's up, dude? You look amazing today. Your shoulders are cappy and they're full. And I just went into the and I got the job.
Full Italian, New Jersey.
Like, oh wait, you look great. And I knew how to at the time, explain the body parts and how they flowed and the insertions and all the tie-ins that if you're not a bodybuilder, you really don't know that, right? You don't know that lingo. So I got on a couple of times, did some shows, and then that fizzled out. And then I won, I think 93. By the time 93 came around, I just won the USA, and they did a lot of work with me then also. So I was very fortunate, very blessed to have been in the right place at the right time. But I also worked my ass off. I didn't sit back and like a lot of these people today, even throughout the years. I remember when I was younger, at Strong and Shapely, competitors would say, hey, I won a national title, but Vinny's on a magazine cover. How's he pulling this off? And what I did was I made this actual collage. Some guy contacted me. He was from New York. Can't remember his name. And he said, hey, I'd just love to sit down with you and just, run some ideas by you on how I think you should market yourself. And I said, sure. So I met him for lunch one day, and he was legit. We sat down. He told me how much he wanted to charge me. And I was common sense. I was like, wait, all I got to go. I think at the time it was Kinko's. I'm like, all I got to do is put my pictures together, write a little blurb, and I'll go to Kinko's and do this myself for free. And that's what I did.
Yeah.
I put this packet together, and I called it Mass with Class, or Classical Mass, something like that. Because I remember Lee Labrada was something like that, and I didn't want to be, I didn't want to like steal from that, because he was, on the Olympia stage and I wasn't. So I made this brochure, and I looked through every bodybuilding magazine for every name. And I think I mentioned this in another podcast, but I'll go into more detail now.
Yeah.
So I would write to every person that was listed in the editor section, like all of the all people, right? And I'm like, I'm putting it all together. And I did that after I won the Junior USA in 1992.
So did you have professional pictures done, or did you have somebody with a camera just do this for you?
I don't remember. I don't remember. I think, a lot of the pictures were from photo shoots that I had done with companies.
Okay.
And I'm from the school of ask for forgiveness, not permission. So I just put the pictures together, put a nice little packet together, and sent them to everybody over and over again for a year, over a year. And nobody responded, not one person. So now fast forward, I do the USA. No, actually, it was 2 or 3 weeks before the USA. I went down to Baltimore to compete in the junior nationals. And in my mindset, I knew I was ready. I didn't care who was going to show up. I'm going to crack the top 3 so I can parallel my name to the USA. And that's just what I wanted to do. I ended up taking second place. And when I was there, a photographer by the name of Reg Bradford was the first person I actually met. And he said, are you the guy who's sending me all of these envelopes with you. He goes, dude, I just take it and throw it in the garbage. Stop sending it to me. So I'm like, well, now I know where my stuff is going. It's going in the garbage, right? But I was, I was persistent. A few weeks later, go out to Los Angeles, Santa Monica, competed at the USA. And at the time, there was 51 middleweights that lined up that year. Chris Cormier won the heavyweight in the overall, one that got his pro card. And I won the middleweight class. And remember, it was Irving Gelb was the first guy to contact me to do a photo shoot. And then as I'm in the gym the next day, other photographers were there with other athletes. And they were coming up to me going, are you the guy that sent us? Yeah. I'm like, yeah, that's me. So they knew I was serious.
Yeah.
I must have invested, I don't know, at the time, maybe like $1,200 the whole year of just sending them all this stuff.
Yeah.
So once I had the packet made, all I had to do was copy it and then send it. So I treated it as a business from day one. And I learned that from my father, he owned a cab company for, I think, 30 years. So we would always go back and forth about how I would approach things. And I miss that, I miss my father. My sisters miss our dad. Because he was a great guy that you could just talk about things to him and he would tell you everything was positive, but it was also this also you have to be concerned about. So you hear the pros and cons to everything. So I did it, and I got a lot of photo shoots out of that week. I mean, I worked. I remember at the time at the USA, and this is a funny story. I mentioned it in another podcast, but there's more to this. I was doing photo shoots up until Tuesday, so I did them literally from Saturday night after the USA, all day Sunday, all day Monday, all day Tuesday. I mean, I'm talking all day, 7 a.m. to like 7 p.m. And
Finn, do you remember what a typical paycheck, like what would you get paid back then for 12 hours of photo shoots?
Oh, you wouldn't get paid. That's not the way it worked. So what happened was you would do a photo shoot. Today, to do that kind of photo shoot, the athlete has to pay the photographer.
Oh, okay.
Then we didn't pay anything. It was just our time. We did the photo shoot, and then the photographer would then submit the pictures to Flex Magazine, Muscle and Fitness, whatever magazine he was affiliated with.
Okay.
And then the magazine would buy from him, and the photographer in return would make his living from that.
But the photographer wouldn't give you a little chunk of change? Like if Muscular Development now says, I want the pictures of Vinny, the photographer wouldn't give you anything?
No, it didn't work that way.
Okay.
Didn't work that way. When I got on a cover, I got like $1,000, sometimes $1,200. If I did a feature, $500 you get, and that check would come like 6 months later. So you weren't doing it because it wasn't in the what's the word I'm looking for? It wasn't
in the cards.
What's that?
Wasn't in the cards.
Yeah, it just wasn't the how it was structured. You didn't get paid on a photo shoot. You're having the opportunity to be featured in a magazine and possibly get on a cover. So I only got on like 2 US covers, and the other 15 I was on were all overseas. It was kind of weird. Yeah, but I got a lot. I got in Muscle and Fitness, Flex Magazine, Muscular Development. The very first magazine I ever got into was a magazine called MTI, Muscle Training Illustrated.
Okay.
And I was friends with a girl. I can't remember her name. Her mom was one of the editors of the magazine. It was by Dan Laurie. Do you remember Dan Laurie?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Right. So Dan Laurie was one of the big names back in the day. He ran Muscle Training Illustrated. He was the editor. He was the owner of the magazine. I think the chief editor, out of whatever title that was. And she said, "Hey, do you compete? Are you into bodybuilding?" I'm like, "Yeah." And they gave me some weird nickname, and they put me in the magazine. That was my first little clip of being in a magazine back in like I think it was 88.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I have been in the right place at the right time a lot of times, but I've also have worked really hard when the opportunities have come my way,
Yeah.
you know?
Did a lot of people though in your generation do what you were doing? Kind of, I'm going to say spamming all the editors, or were you kind of a rarity just in the bodybuilding world to do that?
No, a lot of guys thought I was an idiot for doing that. Like they were like, "Vin, what are you doing? You're wasting your money." But the way I
Yeah.
looked at it was, this is a business, and my plan was to get noticed, get into the magazines, and from the magazines, then I would guest pose. And that's
Yep.
exactly how it worked. And I got to travel around the country guest posing a lot. I mean, from 1994 to probably around 2001,
Okay.
I was guest posing quite often.
Because the first time I saw you is I was big into Muscle Media 2000 EAS, and I still have them. I have one cover of you and Danny Hester wearing shades,
Mhm.
like in a black, I think it's black and white or whatever. And I think there's a second one I have where I think it's you solo. I know it's probably on your wall,
Right up here.
but I
They're
think
all
you,
up
you
there.
did two covers, I think, for Muscle Media, if I remember correctly.
They're all up there. So that was the first cover I was on in the US. Muscle
Really?
Media
Okay.
2000, yeah. And I remember going to 7-Eleven and oh my God, I'm on a cover. And I took all of them. I took one, I bought it, but I took the rest of them and lined them up so everybody can see. I was an idiot. I don't care. So I went up to the counter and I said, "Look, this is me." You're like, "Good, $10."
Yeah, $4.
Yeah.
Did you spam? Did you email Bill? I'm sorry. Did you mail Bill to get into EAS, or how did you come across that cover?
I was under contract, so I never told anybody this story. This is interesting.
Oh, here we go. First time, folks.
So I don't recall how. Oh, yes, I do. Okay. So prior to EAS was Metrex
Mm-hmm.
or Metarex, Metrex, however we pronounce it.
Yeah.
Now, back in the day, it wasn't the packet that we know today. It was two containers, a base and a plus. The
Yes.
base was your carbohydrates. I don't remember what kind of carb. And the protein was in the plus. For the 93 USA, I know that at the time, Lee Labrada was pushing that product. He was sponsoring it. He was
He was part
endorsed
owner, I
that.
believe. I think Rich said he had an investment in the company, I think.
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah.
I believe. I don't know. I don't know that story. I
Yeah.
couldn't talk about it, so I don't know. So I literally made a pudding and would bring that to work. I'd have that like 3 times a day, and it worked. And it
Yeah.
worked. Yeah, I would eat that. Like I would have my meals, and I would have that pudding. I wish there was a product like that today, man. If anybody could get the original formula to Metrex, the base and the plus, you'll
Yeah.
hit a gold mine. I mean, if there's anybody out there that has the money to invest in a supplement company, bring back Metrex, the original formula, whatever the hell was in that, because guys would say, "There's got to be Anavar in this. There's got to be Winstrol in this." Like, there's no, that's not in there. So, but I used it. It was great. And from that, I think I had mentioned it. Bill Phillips picked up on it. He flew me out to Colorado.
Yep.
We did a year contract. And then this was my first. So this is the story. So this is the first time I'm dealing with like a switch and bait kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So Bill, I can't remember the guy's name, but at the time I wanted to punch the guy in the face. That's how bad I was mad at him. he would not allow me to contact this new guy comes into the picture, and he would not allow me to speak to Bill Phillips anymore. Everything had to go through him. And now he was giving me all these stipulations, like now we're only gonna sign you every 3 months. You have to prove yourself. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, I've done everything you've asked me to do the past year. I traveled, I was on time, I guest posed, I was at a booth, I did everything you asked me to do. Now you're asking me to prove myself, and that rubbed me the wrong way. And so I did the contract, did it for 3 months, and then they took more away from me for the next 3 months. And I said, I see where this is going. He's thinking that I'm desperate and I need this. So at the same time, this was when I thought, let me go contact Universal Nutrition, because I told you in a previous podcast that I went to
Cybergenics.
Yeah,
that was awesome.
Yeah, so I went to Cybergenics. They literally asked me to leave the building. They thought I was nuts. But I was dead serious, man. I had tunnel vision. And if you don't have tunnel vision in this sport, you're not going to make it. You got to have thick skin, and the relatives, speaking in the sense of like how people are going to talk about you, because it's going to happen, and you can't get hurt. You can't get hurt by it. You got to just keep moving forward. So, and I've had my ups and downs, like everybody does. So, I don't know how Universal said yes to me, but the next thing I know, I'm in their office and I'm telling them that I am, if I want to say, I think I said this exactly how I said it, was not many people can relate to the size of Dorian Yates, but your customers can probably relate to me a lot more because I'm their size. And they were like, okay, you're right. Here's a contract. And I remember getting in my car going, holy fuck, they actually just signed me to a year. And it was decent money at the time. I mean, I think my first contract, I think the first year was $1,200 a month.
Okay.
Yeah, that
so
was
15 grand, not bad.
Yeah. And then later on, as it went on, I was making close to $3,200 a month.
And plus they're in your backyard though, too, pretty much. I mean, they're a Jersey company also, right?
Yeah. And we had a guy who was very condescending and sarcastic to the athletes, and he was very he was very rude in making a long story short. He was not a nice guy. I'm surprised somebody didn't like punch him in the throat one day, because that's how condescending he was to the athletes. But I had to deal with that, and I smile. You know, when I get people like that, I just smile, fuck them. Like, just put a smile on my face, agree with them, and then I do what I want to do. I went behind his back, oh my God, so many times to the art department and finagled my way onto covers that corporate didn't even agree to. And then they're like, how's Vinny getting on these covers? Because I'm like, I'm gonna get what I want. You're gonna treat me like an asshole? Well, you know what? I'm gonna smile at you. I'm gonna play dumb, and I'm gonna do my thing. And I did that. You know, we're from Jersey. That's what you do, right?
It's a brass ball state.
It's the Garden State. So yeah.
So here's a question for you, Vin. Did you do the Nationals more, or did you do the USA's more throughout your tenure?
I did the USA 2 times.
Okay.
I won it in 93 as a middleweight. And in 97 was the first time I went light heavyweight. Okay. And I won. So, all right, here's another story. So Lou Zwick, who I had a connection with through American Sports Network on ESPN. John Perillo was a big name at the time.
Yep.
And he had his magazine and his MCT oil, and I think Captri it was called.
Captree. Somebody's actually asking that, Vin. Do you guys remember a supplement called Captree oil? I believe John Perillo designed it. So anyway, continue.
So John wanted to bring me out to Cincinnati. It was 1997. So I got in shape for a photo shoot to do the cover for John Perillo. And let me see. It's up there. Yep. So did the photo shoot, and John, it was the first time I ever experienced implementing nutrients during a workout.
Okay.
So John had this idea of he had this bar. It was a Perillo bar, and I don't remember, but the way it worked, I can't explain it. And later on, I'm actually going to Google this because I want to look into it as I'm talking. The Perillo bar, when I ate it and when I chewed it as I was training, I noticed I was getting a better pump and I was feeling a lot stronger.
Interesting. Okay.
So he was asking me a million questions. How do you feel? How's the pump? He was really, I guess, using me to see how this would work. So then he says to me, so are you staying? Are you doing the junior nationals on Saturday? I'm like, no, I just got in shape for your photo shoot. He's like, well, I think you should do the junior nationals. It's right here. It's a mile down the street. So I'm like, well, John, I already won the USA. He's like, yeah, as a middleweight, but you're a light heavyweight now. Just do the show. It's a stepping stone to being a light heavyweight for the do the USA. I'm like,
yeah.
No, I said, I'm doing the nationals in November. He's like, just do this. So I did it. I listened to him. I ended up winning the light heavyweight at the junior nationals. So that was my second time at the junior nationals. I took second as a middleweight, then I won it as a light heavyweight. And then I went back to the USA like 2 weeks later after that, tightened the diet up just a little bit. I ended up as a light heavy that year, 7th, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah. And then fast forward to the nationals, I was 4th as a light heavy in the NPC nationals. So I did the nationals 1990. I won the USA 93. 94, I took 5th in the nationals as a middleweight. 95, I took 5th in the nationals as a middleweight. 96, I didn't do it. I took the whole year off to put size on. And in 97, I took 4th. 98, I think I slipped to 6th. 99 and 2000, I took 3rd. And the year of 9/11, I took 15th. And I remember being, I can't remember where it was, but I was getting breakfast the next morning, and a judge came up to me and said, were you in the show? I'm like, yeah, I was in the show. I felt like you guys just ignored me. And a lot of people said, dude, you got overlooked. I don't remember, but it happens, it shit happens. And I probably should never have even entered that contest because at the time, my wife was right there. She saw everything.
Yeah.
So probably wasn't the best decision. I was trying to keep it moving.
Yeah.
So, but I probably shouldn't have done it. We the Saturday after 9/11, we bought a beagle. We went into the mall and just bought a beagle. Didn't even think about it. Yeah. And a week later, my niece Michaela and I drove somewhere and gave it to a beagle rescue because we couldn't, because it was howling all night long. We weren't getting any sleep. It was a bad decision. I was one of those assholes who bought a dog for the wrong reasons and then had to give it up. And I love dogs and I would never do that again. It was my mind was not thinking. But yeah, I'm a big dog lover. I've had bulldogs. I've had dogs my whole entire life. And that was the one time I messed up buying a beagle without thinking. But yeah, we did the nationals then again in 2005, and I took 5th in the light heavies.
Okay.
And then 2006, I wasn't going to compete, and I got called from Wayne D'Amelia about doing the PDI, and I
Yeah, I
almost
remember
did
that.
it. Yeah, I
Yep.
almost did it. And I was at the point. I was like, I think 39, and here I am. I'm 55 now, and
Yeah.
I'm competing. Right, so at 39, I was thinking, I'm never going to turn pro. Like this dream is never going to happen.
Yeah.
I've accomplished everything else in my life, from traveling, magazine covers, guest posing, but becoming an IFBB pro is never going to happen. So I really entertained the idea. And as I was sitting back watching all the athletes, how they were acting on getbig.com at the time,
You were the
right?
talk of the town because I remember because it was like they got Lee Priest and Sammy Haddad and then Vinny. Your name was just all over. Is he? Isn't he? It was like every day he's in, next day he's not. But anyway,
Yeah, I didn't commit 100% to it. I wouldn't let anybody know if I was doing it because I just
yeah,
learned from my past. Just keep your mouth shut. And I just saw the direction it was going, and I thought, is this going to be another federation like how Vince McMahon pulled those guys from the IFBB, and after a year or whatever that long, however
yeah,
that long
yeah,
lasted, it didn't last long. It was maybe 2 years, 3 years,
yep.
and then their careers were done. And I didn't know what I wanted to do. I had just opened up my personal training studio in May after 9/11,
Mm-hmm.
and now it's 2006. I'm like, I'm taking a year off. I'm not going to do anything. It was a couple of years. I'm into competing again. Let me take off. And I thought about it, and I called Steve Weinberger, and I said, Steve, I'm not. I just want to let you know, I'm not going through with this PDI thing. I just don't feel comfortable with the whole thing. I don't know if I'm ever going to compete again, but if I do, it's not going to be in a PDI. I'm staying with the NPC.
Yeah.
And we had a nice conversation. Steve has always treated me with respect. And so then I thought, hey, let me give the 2007 Masters Nationals a try. And that's what I trained for that year. And what happened was, now I'm 40 years old, right? So I'm thinking, man, I feel really tired. I don't feel right. This is like, I don't know. I was lethargic. I was like just dragging ass all the time. And it was that way for a long time. And I thought, oh, I guess this is what 40 feels like. And I'm like, oh, this sucks. But I go to compete and I'm looking good. And then all of a sudden, just that day, I wake up and I'm holding water. And I'm like, I end up in second place. And I didn't do anything to hold water. And then I just felt, I remember like that whole day, my elbows, my neck, my knees, everything's hurting me. It was like really a weird feeling. It's not a feeling I've never felt before. I get home, and the next morning, I think it was Sunday, I wasn't feeling good. I was getting a really bad headache, not feeling well. And on Monday, I go to brush my teeth, and my face was all weird, like it was weird, and it was hurting me. And I just thought I must have slept on my face wrong. It, like, when your arm goes numb when you sleep, you go dead. Like I felt that maybe that's what that is. So I'm brushing my teeth and I'm spitting everywhere. It's coming out of my mouth, but going all over the place. I ended up having Bell's palsy.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say that. Okay.
Yeah, so my whole face just pulled back, and one eye wouldn't shut, and I don't know. It was a weird thing. My face was like that for I think 3 months. I think that, and it runs in my family. My niece had it. My father had it.
Interesting.
Yeah, so I don't know. I don't know. If it has any core. And my dad ultimately had what do you call those mini strokes? TSI,
TIAs.
TIAs, yeah, and then led to a stroke, and he passed away. So who knows if that's where my destiny is. That's gonna happen. But so my niece had Bell's palsy. My niece Jennifer, I had it. It sucked. I mean, I remember when I going to sleep, I had to like manually close my eye, manually open it up. That was horrible. Yeah.
So Vinny, I got a couple of questions. Is it Tom Potenza? Hopefully, I don't know if that name rings a bell.
Is he asking questions?
He's asking questions. He says, "What is your favorite win and why?"
My favorite win and why? He knows this answer. It's the '89 Suburban because I won the Beast of the East, the smallest title and probably the best trophy.
Did you beat him? Was he in the show or something? Or
what's that?
Was he in the show or something? Or no?
No, we didn't even know each other at the time.
Okay.
But I think I beat Tommy twice. We're good friends. Tommy and I go to our families we get together all the time. We go to dinner. Our friends. Yeah, so we're close. We really met in '92, and then because we did the jersey together, and then flew out to the Junior USA in California. And I was like, holy shit, he's gonna beat me this time because I think he lost he could tell you, I don't know, like 17 pounds in a week. And I think he almost went into the lightweight class. And he ended up, he was ultra shredded. He was hanging on by a hair. I remember watching him backstage. And then, so Tommy did this posing routine in which if I get invited to the Masters Olympia, I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to pull this off. So in a '92 jersey, I posed to the Phantom of the Opera. And I did a very pretty, classy posing routine. And I thought as I was walking off, no one's going to pose better than me tonight. This is going to be great. And that's just because it was a good posing routine.
Yeah.
Now here comes Tommy. And he does Bohemian Rhapsody. And he did oh my God, he did an amazing job. And we talked about this. I said, did you plan? Because at the very end, when they do Mamma Mia, he shook his legs and he went, Mamma Mia, right? So the crowd goes absolutely crazy for him. And, we talked, did you, because honestly, I almost didn't do it. I was backstage thinking maybe I'm not going to do this. He didn't even know he was going to do it or not until he got on stage. So our friend Billy Scarnati did the routine once at a show, and there's a version of, and Tommy doesn't like it, but I sent Tommy and Billy this clip of Angelina Jordan. She's like 14 or 15 years old. Okay. And she was on one of those shows where, I think like
America's Got Talent or something
like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And she does a version very pretty. Like it's just a very classy.
Yeah.
Her voice is beautiful. And then blended in with like the end part of the original. I got to see if it works because I think that I contacted the promoter and I said, if I'm invited to the Masters Olympia, how long will we get to pose? And she said, so you got the amateur Olympia and you got the pros, the Masters Olympia. She said that the pros are going to get 2 minutes. So
she did get a response. Okay.
Yeah. She gave me a response.
Good.
So I have 2 minutes. I have a lot of ideas and I got a lot of thoughts in my head about doing a posing routine with certain types of music, but Bohemian Rhapsody is right now. It's my number one choice. I just got to figure out how I can pull that off.
Yep. So let's talk a little bit about that, Vinny, because I know let's talk about the facts of the Masters Muscle. I know there's a lot of gossip and stuff, and we talked about it on our phone calls here.
You mean Masters Olympia?
Masters Olympia, I'm sorry. So obviously the prize money, $229. We're not sure what the breakdowns are going to be amongst the divisions.
Right.
They've lowered it to 40. And now the newest thing, which you've heard, is I guess the winner of every division will have an invite to the Olympia.
Yes. Yeah.
So
all I know more to that is they're going to invite 15 people. This is what I heard.
Sure.
Grapevine. It could be wrong. But 15 people in each division will be invited. And we won't know until Monday, April 24th. Yeah. I'm thinking like with all of this stuff trickling out, they're ramping it up. It's getting closer to April. So they're going to start dropping some more information as time goes on. So they announced the money. I think maybe coming soon will be the breakdown because I know I spoke to Victor Martinez. He said he would entertain the idea if there's a certain number that's first place for the amount. And I said, well, what's that number? And he's like, I don't know. I got to see. I can't make that. I can't know until I see the number if it's going to inspire him to do it. And then then I talked to Johnny Jackson at the Arnold, and he had a very nice approach to it, and he's like, I don't care what it is. I just like to compete.
Yeah,
I'm going to go to Romania and have fun and try to get a title. So
that's your philosophy. That's kind of like your philosophy.
Well, listen, Sean, I did the best I could back in the day, and I just never made it to that level. I was a very good bodybuilder. I just wasn't great. There's a difference, and you got to understand the difference on that level. Good and great. I just was never great. And so for me, if I get invited, it'll be, a feather in a cap. It's a bucket list. It's something that I just, never had an opportunity to do before, standing on an Olympia stage. So to go do it in another country kind of stinks a little bit because family and friends aren't going to go, but it is what it is. But if I end it here, I'm ending it on the Olympia stage. I might compete again next year. I don't know, but we have to see.
We'll do. I would think your wife's watching this now. You get invited. I'm going to go to your house. We'll do a big watch party, and we'll do like some kind of live video here on your behalf.
There you go. We'll do
play-by-play with your wife.
So yeah, I mean, we don't know if airfare is paid for.
Yeah.
We don't know the hotels are paid for. We don't know anything, which is kind of frustrating a little bit.
Yeah.
But I think they're doing it so they could build up steam. And I think they're accomplishing exactly what they want to accomplish. We're all talking about it. Because if they just gave all the information back in January, nobody would be talking about it.
It's true. I feel like every day you go to Instagram and there's a new little teaser of some sort, like on the Masters Olympia page.
Yeah, guys just have to have patience and just wait it out. I mean, I've come to the realization a few weeks ago, like, just listen, I'm training. I'm going to start my real prep around 15 weeks out, 16 weeks out, which would be 2 weeks after they announce it. So my first goal is it's still off season. My food is high. I'm eating a lot of food. I'm not worrying about my condition right now. I know what it takes for me to get in shape. I'm just still trying to train heavier, lift a certain way, implement rest days. I'm adding in a little cardio now just to get conditioned so that way it's not so hard when I'm fit. It's what I do. It's how I approach the contest. And even though I'm eating a lot of food, I am actually still kind of like easing into prep too.
Sure.
So there's days I clean it up a lot through the whole day. And then there's days I throw a cheeseburger in with like a Reese's peanut butter cup, and, and on Sundays I'm having my cookies and pizza and doing what I got to do. Because once it's 16 weeks out, it's balls out. I know that I got to be in condition, and that's how I'm going to shine. If I can crack the top 10 in the Masters Olympia against the guys I think that are going to go in it, I'll be a happy camper. We're going to try to get better than top 10, but I got to be realistic. And I'm very happy. I'm content. I accomplished everything I set out to do since I started, competing again. I'd never in a million, realistically, I aimed for the Masters Pittsburgh Pro in 19. Winning the 50 and the 40 was amazing. And then I thought, okay, I'm going to do the New York Pro next year. But then the world got shut down. And, so things changed. And I didn't want to do the New York Pro in another state. Because I wanted to do it so I can have closure. As I said this in the past, that I was very unhappy with what I presented in 2013. And I just wanted to be like a way better version of that day. And then end my career. And then next thing I know, the world opens back up and I'm like, okay, I'm going to do the Masters Baltimore Pro. Yeah. And I won the 50, the 40, and the 35.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, and at the Hurricane Pro, I won the 50 and took third in the 40, and then the Legion, I took second in the 212 over 50,
Okay.
and then Tampa, I was the only one in it.
Still a win, though.
It was a win, and I got that win. And then I went to Daytona last October 1st, and I won the 50 and took second in the 40.
Okay.
So I'm doing pretty good in the 50s.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I'll be 16 years older than the youngest guy, who's, it's 40, the 40-year-old 40 cap now. So it went down from 45 down to 40. And people are asking me, are you going to back out of the contest? I'm like, no, the age has nothing to do with it for me.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm gonna do the best I can.
Looking like Dexter Jackson. He was competing in his 50s and still killing people who are half his age.
Well, yeah, I mean, Dexter's another breed.
Yeah.
He's a class act. He was an elite athlete.
Yeah.
50 years old, his body was just starting to show a smidge of signs. Like, you had to really be really, really look at Dexter Jackson to say there's something wrong.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
No, but he pulled out when he knew he needed to pull out. He's retired now, and he's
living his good life.
Great. Yeah. And for me, I just wanted to, have closure in a sense, because I didn't like how I ended my career. And now I'm very happy. And I got this opportunity to go to the Masters Olympia, and I've got great people around me. I got great friends, and I just got a good support team, and I got a great gym. I train at Powerhouse in Saddlebrook. I work there, I train there, and I also train a bunch of other places like Strong and Shapely. I got this really, really hardcore gym in Patterson called Empy's. There's nobody even in there. I don't think any of the equipment is after 1993.
Oh, geez. Okay.
Oh, yeah. All of the equipment is on chains.
Yeah, old school.
Remember that?
Love it.
There's no cables, nothing like that. Everything's on chains. I mean, you pick up the weights, you got brown on your hands. You got to wash your hands in between the workout. It's a filthy, old school, hardcore, balls out, heavy metal, rap music playing music gym. It's good. And when last summer I trained in there, it was so hot. I loved it. Now it's freezing. I love it.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, Vin, a couple more questions. We'll wind down here. So somebody's asking, what were your thoughts on Brian Buchanan back in the day? His physique and his symmetry, and his vacuum.
So Brian Buchanan, from the waist up, was a Mr. Olympia, and he lacked legs. His legs were not up to par. I remember him like it was yesterday. He was amazing. He had this V taper that was just, second to none. When he stood next to other guys that were big, he made them look big. He made them look small. But unfortunately, Brian had no legs. He had really shallow legs. It looked like the guy never squatted. Looks like he just did leg extensions and lunges. It was kind of weird. Yeah.
All right. So, and Juan, I think, is one of your friends, is asking about the one time you went to Colombia to guest pose and met an upcoming star.
Yep. Yeah. So I go to Colombia, and everybody knows what's the company's name? I'm having a brain fart. They bring me down to Colombia. I went down to Colombia, and I went down there twice. And my family's like, "Do not go there. It's on the top 3 list of the most dangerous countries." I'm like, "I'm going. I don't care." So, and this was before 9/11, and it's this huge fitness expo, and there's a woman singing, and they're doing all this Zumba stuff, and then we all go out to dinner one night, and it was Shakira.
Oh wow! Okay.
She was at dinner, yeah, but she wasn't famous. She wasn't at the time. She wasn't anybody.
Okay.
Yeah.
But she wasn't having dinner with you. She was just in the restaurant, or?
No, she was having dinner with the entire crew
Oh, okay.
That was part
Okay.
of the expo, and I got to go because the people who flew me down
Yeah.
were, I think, part of the sponsorship.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was cool, but I didn't like. It wasn't like she was famous later,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
years later.
You were at the Arnold this weekend. Did you see any of the event? What were your thoughts on the open bodybuilding?
Um, so Samson Duda, I think he was the most balanced. Now you break it all down, like you could nitpick Nick Walker's body with the
Yeah.
varicose veins, and I think if I'm being really honest here, Samson was holding just a touch of water. Nick, it seemed like he just died. He came in
He
a
was leaner. I
little
thought he was
leaner,
leaner.
much harder, and his legs sacrificed just a little bit for it, and
Okay.
it was noticeable. What's the other guy? I can't think of the other guy's
Andrew
name.
Jacked in third. Andrew
Andrew
Jack.
Jack was rock hard,
Yep.
small, tiny waist. He was drier, but at that level, and people seeing it on TV or on on pay-per-view. When you're seeing it in person, you can see. Okay, you can see why Samson Duda won.
Yeah.
He was so balanced, so almost like a Lee Haney type.
Yeah. Well,
And
there's a
that, and
picture
that,
that Milos Pick posted Lee and him side by side. I don't know if you saw it. It was pretty
and I
interesting.
didn't see that. No,
I'll send
I
it to
didn't
you.
see that.
Yeah.
So Nick looked amazing. I mean, that guy is just very inspiring. I love his work ethic, again, from Jersey.
Yeah.
So,
of course.
and then, oh my God, I'm really bad with his name.
So you had Andrew, you had Big Ramy in fourth, I think it was.
Well, Sean Clarita coming in fifth. He looked amazing.
Do you think he just got lost in the big guy? I mean, everybody looked ripped, but he got lost in the big guy shuffle.
Well, yeah, I mean, a little bit. It's hard to compete against that kind of caliber. Sean's at another level. I mean,
Yeah.
he's great. And then there was oh my God, what's his name? Who has said he might be doing the Masters Olympia?
Kunal?
Kumal.
Yeah.
Kumal. He posed to Ave Maria, and it was very nice. It was very pretty. It was kind of a mix. Overall, I have to say, this was probably the best lineup I've seen of competitors actually posing, like really doing good posing routines. Even Justin
Rodriguez.
Justin Rodriguez, he had a very good posing routine. He posed really well. He needs to tighten up a little bit. He could have been in the mix, but he was.
He competes a lot, though. He did like 4 or 5 shows last year, and people you need to take some time off.
But a lot of guys do that, and they get better.
Yeah.
So you don't know. It's all up here in the mind. If you're planning it, you could do it. If you're not planning it, I don't know. I mean, I do a couple of shows, and I feel like I get better at the next show.
Yeah.
So
I'd have to say, though, I think that the top 3 guys definitely improved from the Olympia. Again, I personally I think Nick's waist looked a lot better, tighter, making his V taper look bigger. He probably sacrificed a couple of pounds, but that's just me.
I think Akeem Williams looked very good.
Yes.
I was with him yesterday, and he might be having shoulder surgery.
Okay.
Was it yesterday or Monday? What's today? Wednesday?
Wednesday, yeah.
I was alongside him at the gym on Monday. I didn't train with him. And he had mentioned that he's got to get some shoulder surgery. He's got to get that taken care of first before he moves forward.
Yeah. Okay.
So, but hey, this has been fun.
Yeah.
I
Hopefully
hope
Johnny will surface
Jackson,
and we'll get Johnny on a future episode.
Yeah, I hope everything's okay. He didn't get back to me yet. But I hope he's good. I hope he's healthy.
Yeah.
So, all right. So actually, next week we're taking off. We're having a
I'll be on vacation. Correct. So we'll have a bye week next week.
So no guest. And then we'll announce who's coming on the next week.
You gonna blue ball the audience? You don't want to tell them?
You do it.
Victor Martinez.
Yes.
And
we got the
so
Dominator, the Dominican
that'll be a
Dominator.
good one.
Yep.
Perfect.
Yeah. So we'll have Victor on, and we'll talk about the Masters Olympia and where he's going in his future with bodybuilding.
Perfect. And everybody that's watching this, listening to this, we really appreciate everybody. Vin and I talk daily, and all the feedback has just been so positive. I mean, a lot of people were kind of reinvigorating their love for the sport. If there's any guests that you want to see, DM Vinny, DM me. We're here to help, and we love all you guys. We appreciate everyone. And
Yeah,
as
thank
always,
you.
Vinny, thank you.
All right, Sean. I'll be in touch.
Thank you. Everybody, take care now.
All right.